Welcome, Orlando Torresilla, from fincastorresilla.com. Well, you have on screen the outline of a sales contract.
De compra-venta. Un contrato conceptualmente.
A contract is conceptually the proof where the will of the parties is expressed in writing.
De las partes, por escrito. La voluntad.
The will, that attribute of similarity to God. Wonderful. That makes us human, and as long as we have it, we can do. Create things.
Humanos. Y que mientras la tenemos, podemos hacer, crear cosas. Mientras la tenemos, por desgracia.
While we have it, unfortunately, there are people who lose their will.
Enfermedades, demencias, seniles.
Illnesses, senile dementia, in short. In that case, a person who has no will cannot sit down to sign a contract.
A celebrar un contrato. En este caso, este contrato.
In this case, this sales contract always has the same elements.
Es el consentimiento, el objeto.
It is consent, the object and the cause. Consent is expressed at the beginning of the contract, where the parties meet, intervene, if there is someone who intervenes on their behalf, or by proxy of those gathered, of any of those gathered and present.
En su nombre o por poderes de los reunidos, de alguno de los reunidos, y exponen. A nosotros nos gusta, aquí lo ven.
We like it. Here you see these elements, which look like photographs. They are captures of a property deed.
Son capturas de una escritura de propiedad. Exponen que son propietarios.
They claim to be owners.
Aquí tenemos otro elemento.
Here we have another element, which shows that they are cadastral owners in the treasury and that they are registered owners.
En Hacienda. Y que son titulares registrales. A nosotros nos
We like to explain step by step. After they intervene and expose, they explain that they are the owners, one of the parties, the one that sells.
exponen que son propietarias, una de las partes la que vende. Que ese es el objeto del contrato.
That is the object of the contract. The object of the contract is to sell a property in exchange for a price, and it is paid by the buyer.
La causa del contrato, pues.
The reason for the contract is that there is a solvent buyer who has seen the property, who is interested in the property, who has made a written offer, who the owner has counter-offered, who has reached a price agreement.
Se ha llegado a un acuerdo de precio, hay
There is another proof in the offer to purchase, with a deposit.
depósito y esa oferta de compra.
And this purchase offer, when the prices of the two parties have been exchanged, has generated a contract prior to this one. This, let's say, is the most detailed contract, when more things are set out than in that offer sheet.
Se exponen más cosas que en esa hoja de oferta, pero podría ser.
But it could perfectly be that offer sheet, at the moment that the price is crossed, and there is a deposit that becomes a signal or earnest money, a contract, because it already reflects the will of the parties to sell, to buy, to transfer the use and possession of that property.
Ese inmueble. Bueno, pues.
Well, the expose is very important to clearly define the real estate object, which is different from the object of the contract.
El objeto del contrato.
The real estate object is the property, which is sold, which is defined, as we have said, literally with the deed, cadastrally with the cadastral record, and in the registry here we have a simple lake, where charges also appear that, well, in the following stipulations, once they state that the owner is the owner and that the buyer wants to buy, things are stipulated.
Que el propietario es el propietario y que el comprador quiere comprar, se estipulan cosas.
It is also important to have a video inventory of the condition of the home, as seen by buyers, to define the home.
Vivienda.
And there the goods are also defined. In short, whatever the parties have agreed upon. In the stipulations, the first, of course, is the price they sell and transmit in a price that had been paid in one way. First, the deposit that was paid by transfer for the offer.
Para la oferta. Ahora sí.
Now the deposit, which became a sign or earnest money when the parties exchanged prices, is being expanded when a price is agreed upon.
Se amplía y ahora se pide una señal.
And now a bigger signal is called for.
Se define aquí.
So this is defined here as the account that it has to reach, etc., etc. The deadline for signing the contract. The more solvent the person, the better, because the seller usually gives you more time, so that you have rimmed a deal with the banks. And finally, more stipulations that the parties have agreed to.
Y muy importante.
And, very importantly, the energy efficiency certificate with the label, which is already registered in the corresponding autonomous community.
Correspondiente pues para que
Well, so that later, when you go to the notary, this contract can be made public. But the public deed is nothing more than a contract of sale, but raised to public, with public faith. That is to say, the notary has verified that the seller is the seller, the buyer is the buyer, the real estate object is the real estate object, that it has no encumbrance on the day of signing. If there is any mortgage, it must be cancelled. If there is any embargo, if there is any charge, it must be cancelled. In order to deliver it free of charges, occupants, leases and squatters, which is usually imposed. So, this is basically the structure of any sales contract.
compraventa cualquiera.
So, if you need a sales contract, if you are lost in any part of the process, even in the cause of the contract,
Incluso en la causa del contrato antes de verse una
first, you have to see if a person is solvent, before going to see the property. See if that person is going to make an offer.
escrito poniendo
Anyway, in writing, putting down a deposit, etc., etc. Or you are doing this, but with a real estate agency and you have doubts, we would be happy to try to help you. We will have to see the document, see what structure it has, see what the consent is.
cuál es el consentimiento que muchísimo
And in many contracts, consent is lacking. A party is missing. A deceased person is missing. In short, always, of course, always in good faith, always shedding light. Because in this sector, we imagine that, as in all areas of life, there is good, there is light, and there is bad, and there is darkness. So do not hesitate. Contact us on WhatsApp, phone 6930-23926 by WhatsApp, please.
por WhatsApp, por favor. Ya saben que
You know we could do a video call, a short video call, to see what you need. It has a small cost,
un pequeño coste y después
and then we would discount any possible subsequent services.
revisión.
For example, contract review, etc., etc., whatever you tell us, because this is a real world. Every person, every will is different,
Cada contrato
and each contract generated by these wishes will be different and will require personalized attention so that, ultimately, the will of the parties can be fulfilled and the contract can be successfully completed, which is nothing more than that this property can be sold and transferred,
transmitir este inmueble y
and that the parties, since the buyer pays the price, receives the house in a condition in which it has been agreed, and that the seller receives the price and delivers the house and possession.
reciba el precio y entregue la vivienda y la posesión. Por supuesto, el notario le va a
Boss, the notary will warn you about taxes, etc., etc. Transfer tax, that must be paid, because there is always a tax. But, well, that's in another video. Greetings, and until the next videos, God willing, Orlando Torresilla, thinkostorresilla.com. Thank you.